interrupt all the great fellowship that's going on, but I also want to be conscious of your time commitment today. Never had to add chairs and tables in the name. That's pretty cool. So thank you all for being here, for taking the time. We'll try and get through the business part as peacefully as possible, so that we can leave some good time for you guys to ask your questions and for him to explain, the search process. We don't get a lot of opportunities to meet as one congregation throughout the year. And it was really great today to see the church full with 3 different services. And one thing that just kind of was on my heart as we went through the service today was a reminder to everybody here that regardless of whether you attend the 8 a.m. service or the 9:30 service or the 11:15 service, you are all still part of the one church. And that is St. Luke and St. Peter. And it is all of our responsibilities to make sure that everybody who attends those services also feels that they are part of one church, and that is St. Luke and St. Peter. The message is the same across all 3 services. And so, as you see visitors come and as new people arrive, I need your help to make sure that those folks feel welcome, and that they feel welcome to St. Luke and St. Peter, and not just to one specific church service. And that's not saying send them to a different church service. It's making sure that we get their name and information so we can communicate with them. Make sure that we can pray for them if they have needs, and make sure we can follow up if they stop coming at some point, or we don't see them for a while. So, which is on my heart today, because 3 services all together. I want to throw that out there. So, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. The annual meeting 2026 for the Church of St. Luke and St. Peter. All of you should have a packet in front of you, 3 different packets actually. The first one we're going to reference is the annual meeting minutes from January 26th of 2025. I will entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Motion, second. Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Moving right along. So you have also been provided the balance sheet as of December 31st, the completed profit and loss statement for 2025, and then the proposed budget, which we will vote on approving today. You will notice that for the year ending, we finished ahead in the green, about $125,000, and a big chunk of that, almost $126,000 of that was ERC credits that we were lucky enough to obtain, and we sock that money away in savings so that we don't, for a rainy day, like a search committee in a transition. So with that not being in there, we basically broke even for the year, which is pretty fantastic. It's a testament to the giving of the people that are in this room and come here faithfully on Sundays. We finished the year a little over $225,000 in contributions and donations. And you'll notice in the income section, this is a huge blessing for us, but there are other areas in which we are able to generate some income. And we are hoping to grow that even a little bit more this year. That'll move us to the budget. You will notice that this is not specifically a balanced budget in the sense that it's net 0-0, and part of that is because if you're writing a budget in a year where you do not have a priest, but you intend to call a priest, you still need to account for some of that money. And you will notice that there is a net profit listed on this budget. Obviously, that may change at some point when we call a priest. I will also mention, as I have a couple times on Sundays, while we had a good 2025 and we were able to, essentially break even, that's not going to be enough to call a full-time priest. And we talked about needing to find about $50,000 more in giving. I've been very, very encouraged by the pledges that have come in. We've had several people that have heard that call and have increased their pledges for 2026. If you have not yet pledged for 2026, you still can, so that we can also incorporate that into our planning as a vestry. So I just want to continue to encourage you to give faithfully, as that is what we will need in order to call a full-time priest and transition into the next form of St. Luke and St. Peter. At this time, I'll call for Motion to approve the budget for 2026. Do you have a motion? Do you have a second? Second. Is there any discussion on the budget 2026? Any questions I might be able to answer? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Budget is set. After several years of not really having vestry elections because of our situation with the interim rector, which was the technical term for Father Richard, the vestry has decided to proceed with kind of a return to normalcy. As the nominating body, the vestry has nominated 2 people, and they have accepted that nomination for a vote and an affirmation by this congregation to serve on the vestry for a 3-year term. Justin, if you could stand up. And Miss Elsie, if you could stand up. All of them were asked to serve after being nominated by the vestry, and both of them have agreed. However, I would like this congregation to show their support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Glad you have flowers again.
Elsie and Justin. All the vestry members, including Elsie and Justin, stand up. Jason's in the back there. Jeff's here, stand there. Jeff's counting money. The business never stops. Doug and Jeff are over there counting money. I want you all to say thank you to this group of people that. It's not an insane time commitment, but it's sometimes some difficult decisions and a lot of pressure on understanding that this is, money and facilities provided by God through this congregation, and we are responsible for taking care of it, and especially now in this next mission that we have to go through. I'd like the members of the search committee to please stand up. Victoria, Jason's in the back. And Winston, there we go. I was like, I know they're here. So these 5 individuals have been tasked by the vestry to form the search committee, which they have, and begin the process, which Ian and Dan will outline. They've already been giving their marching orders by Ken Ellis. December 11th of this year, we had a meeting at
I'm not on the search committee
It was kind of nice to have Ken Ellis enjoy some same time barbecue.
Like how it's standing.
And he was able to lay out the vestry for, the path forward, the vestry and the search committee, the path forward, and how calling a rector will work, moving forward. So please keep those 5 individuals in prayer. Their work is very, very important. It's going to be very deliberate. At some point here in the near future, everybody here will receive a survey through email, so I cannot stress this enough. If you don't get regular email communication from us, it's because we don't have the information. We want everybody to participate in the survey. It's not a family survey, it's an individual survey. We want individual spouses to participate. We want older teenagers and stuff to participate in the survey. And what that does is that gives us a profile of the rector that we are looking for, instead of 1 or 2 or 3 people saying, this is the kind of person that we think we should call. So it's going to be very important that you participate in that as well.
Hey, Jason?
Yep.
If you have a shared email with your spouse, will you be able to say that?
No, we would have to do it to a separate email address. So we create a separate one, or
Can you forward it, or do you have to put another email on?
that's a good question.
Is it a Google form?
No, it's a company. We'll find out. We'll find out. Because if we can share it, that'll be easier, with disseminating to other people. And get it taken care of. Last but not least, all of you were provided in your packet the report. So this year, in lieu of open mic afternoon, and wanting to give Ian and Dan the time that he deserves, and the time that this congregation needs to hear from him and ask their questions, what we did is we had all of the different ministries just produce a summary of their year, their goals. So inside of that packet is some good reading information. It'll tell you kind of where everybody has been this year, and even what they're looking for in 2026. With no other business needing to be carried out, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Can I get a second? Second. All those in favor?
Seconded.
This meeting of the St. Luke's Anglican Church, January 11,
I think either Marcelina.
and now
Marcelina, oh yeah, there you are. Marcelina seconded, but I think. Where's Mr. Hoyer?
Good morning, everybody.
I think it was Marcelina. Mr. Hoyer. He's not talking yet, it'll be okay.
Everybody thinks I'm a little off center anyway, so.
Reflexes on.
Good morning again, everybody. Allow me to take just a moment and really introduce myself. I already said that my name is Dan Smith. I serve as county coordinator for the Diocese of Central Florida. Been in that role now for 2.5 years, pushing on 3 years. My goal is to help Bishop Justin build a foundation for what could be a 20-year episcopate for him. That's largely what we're accomplishing as we go along. I spent 14 years as county coordinator in the Diocese of Missouri. Prior to moving back to Florida. This is my home. I grew up in Orlando, born in Jacksonville, grew up in Orlando. Some debate in my family whether I'm a 5th generation or a 4th generation Floridian, but who knows. St. Cloud was part of my growing up years because my dad was a cowboy. I can remember horses and raising cattle. Remember we used to have 600 acres just off what we call beeline, not beach line, but it's just part of my blood. So we used to spend time in the rodeo every year here in St. Cloud. I still come to the ranch hand rodeo every September. Unusual hobby. I still raise black Angus beef cattle, so it's an unusual hobby for a priest, but puts me in good stead in St. Cloud from time to time. So. Let me describe the search process to a kind of in a brief kind of way, and then work to answer your questions. Again, Ken Brust will be the primary consultant to you all as you go through the search process. Ken Brust was county coordinator in the Diocese of Florida for several years. He's done probably 40 searches in his career. I've done somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 in my career, and so you're getting a lot of experience in doing searches, and the process that we put together is a combination of both of our experiences and the work that we've seen happen and the way that it will happen smoothly. There's 3 basic parts to every search process. They're not equal in length of time, but they each have to be done sort of in order. You can't skip over one and get to the next. So there's 3 different parts, each one of them important, and each one important to do sort of in the order. The first of those parts is an information gathering time. That's part of what we just talked about with the survey that's going to come out from Holy Cow Consulting. And I do think you're going to have separate email addresses, but we'll find out that for sure. That document will help do some basic consultation, some basic data gathering, some basic information gathering, but it's also going to be important for your search committee to spend time with the congregation. Roundtable discussions, town hall type meetings, whatever it may be, that allows each person's voice to be heard to as much as possible. You're trying to get a clear, accurate picture of the congregation. And part of that means you want to know where you've been, you want to know where you are, and to the best of your ability, you want to know where you're going, where you think God's taking you as you move into the future. Obviously, this third part's the hardest. God is a little mysterious sometimes, and there is the old adage that we plan and God laughs. But nonetheless, we want to get as clear and accurate picture as we can, where you've been, where you are, and where has the best sign in the diocese out in front. You have, it has all that basic data. It has some information about who the previous rectors were. All those kinds of things are part of that basic data that goes into the portfolio. The heart of that document, though, is 12 questions that you will answer. And those questions cover a range of topics in the life of the church. How are you preparing for the church in the future? What's your stewardship like? How have you dealt with conflict when you had that in the past? What are ministries that are new that you're particularly proud of, and how did you start those? How do you involve the members of the congregation in the day-to-day life and ministry and mission of the congregation? Those kinds of questions to which your search committee will do basically a paragraph for each one of those questions. So those questions help understand completely, in a complete kind of way, who you are, where you've been again, and where you believe God is taking you in the future. Now, the real importance of that document is not only gaining that complete picture of who you are, and the search committee, after they've drafted it, will send it through Ken Rust. He will take a look at it. They will send it to your vestry. They will take a look at it. Not to wordsmith it, but to say, you painted an accurate picture, or did you think about this, or did you think about that? There is some time in there, because what you want to do is you want to absolutely put your best foot forward. That probably sounds obvious, but still it's the case if you want to do that. Now, also, the real importance of this document is not only knowing something about yourself, but it allows you to understand the clergy that we will be looking at some point in the future. Because each clergy person that you will take a look at will have answered 11 of those 12 questions. Your questions are written in a way that's the worshiping community, or basically in plural. Their questions are written singularly. This is something that I'm proud of in my ministry, but other than that, 11 questions are exactly the same. The reason that the congregations have a 12 is that the 12th question has to do with basic attributes you'd like to see in a new priest. Preaching, pastoral care, youth. I don't want to put words in your mouth. You'll put words in my mouth. As we go along. That's what the 12th question is. But other than that, the basic 11 are compared to 11. So that when your search committee and later on your vestry starts looking at candidates, they're going to take a look at your profile on one side of their reading desk, and the priest profile on the other portfolio on the other side, so that they can constantly refer back and forth and see in fact who matches. Because by far the most important thing for this to be is for a priest to truly match who you are and where you believe you're going. If a priest matches me and I think they're wonderful, that doesn't do you a whole lot of good necessarily. It might, but it doesn't necessarily do you a whole lot of good. They've got to match you, and they've got to be a good fit with you. Because otherwise, to be frank, 2 years down the road, I'm back here dealing with conflict that's going on, and that's not the game any of us want to play. So we really work hard to make sure that it's a match, and that portfolio is a major part of helping that to happen. Now, the other part that this information gathering does, and Jason, this is really for you as a vestry, the other part that happens out of that is that I want the vestry to take all that information and truly examine the website that you have, and to make sure that that website reflects who you are, where you're going, and what your hopes are. You're going to want to have that website completely updated so that it's really future looking. You want the website to have links to it that allow people to click on it and discover, the education's, here in Osceola County, or the schools that are in the area, or, the Visitors Bureau, or the Better Business Bureau, or something that allows people to get a feel to look at the community as well. This will help with the newcomer ministry, by the way. Most clergy are telling me these days that they have a really good website. By the time somebody actually gets to the door, they already feel like they're members. Because they've looked at that website, they've watched the online services, they've done those kinds of things that allow them to truly feel like they already belong, even if they haven't come through the door yet. Remember what one Archbishop of Canterbury said at the beginning of the last century, that the church is the only organization in the world that exists for people who are not yet members. And so that's part of what you're doing with that website. gone through this first stage of putting together this information, truly learning about who you are, where you're going, all those types of things. Then there's going to be about a 6-week period of time, 4 to 6 weeks period of time, where we're going to be seeking candidates. And we're going to seek candidates from several different sources. Please know that one of those sources that we'll seek candidates from is you. All of you have met clergy at some point or another in your life. You've met them at meetings, you've gone to funerals, you've gone to weddings, you've traveled on vacation and gone to church while you're on vacation. You've done something that allows you to have met clergy. And there may be somebody out there that you really believe fits with Trisaints. And so you want to be able, and you will have the opportunity to nominate those individuals to your search committee chair or to your senior warden. So that really does become a possibility. The bishop always has the opportunity to make nominations from his office, which for good or ill includes me. So I always have the opportunity to make nominations as well. Kevin Ellis and I spend time regularly with our colleagues, particularly in the southeastern part of the United States. We meet together with the Province 4 colleagues, which is the southeastern United States, twice a year. We talk to each other on the phone far more often than that, email one another, all those types of things, so that we always know who the clergy are that are currently looking, and our colleagues also know something about all the congregations that we're currently searching for. And so we get names from those groups. Ken and Nelson and I also travel a great deal to events that allow us to be clergy. For instance, in March, I'll be at an event that will have somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 priests attending that. And I basically go to those, don't do much, although this time I've got to teach at that event, but I basically go to those events with sort of a sign that says I'm hiring. It's so that I can network and so that I can work and try to meet clergy. And Ken and Allison and I do that type of work on a regular basis. Central Florida is Central Florida. And we get people calling us all the time that want to come here. Now, a lot of them don't make the grade, partly because I get a whole bunch that say, I'm going to retire in 5 years. I'm looking for that final place so I can retire in Florida. And I say, no, thank you. I don't want somebody that's on what the Navy calls the road program. Have you ever heard that expression? The U.S. Navy says the road program, ROAD, retire on active duty. And that's not what we're looking for as we go forward. But anyway, that 6-week period of time will be a time when we collect names. We will work to make sure that we get somewhere between 4 and 7 names for the congregation. Gone are the days when we could bring them back to the congregation 10, 12, 13, 14. I can remember days, early in my career when I could take 20 names to the congregation. Those days are gone. Recognize that the Episcopal Church currently is retiring about twice as many people as it's ordaining. And so there really is, to a certain degree, a shortage. That is not true in this diocese. In this diocese, we're ordaining more people to the priesthood than we have places for it. So we're actually sending people to other dioceses. But we will look inside the diocese and outside the diocese for the right candidate for this congregation. So that's about a 4 to 6 week period of time. The first part takes probably 3 months to really do a good job of gathering the information and collating it and putting it together. And then we will bring those candidates to the search committee. The search committee will do several things to evaluate those candidates. First, they'll read the portfolio, obviously. Then they will go online. The code didn't give us a whole lot. The code did give us 2 things. The first thing that it gave us is that almost every congregation in the Episcopal Church these days live streams. And so instead of sending people out like we used to visit congregations and visit clergy in those congregations, we can send the whole search committee online to look at those congregations. And to watch live streams, you can watch, instead of hearing one sermon, you can hear a dozen if you want to. It just gives you a greater clarity, greater information. The second thing that COVID gave us is that it gave us the ability and an understanding of how to use Zoom and Google Meets and various things like that. So the interviews where we used to do phone interviews now are done by video chat, using one of those forums. And the search committee will do all of that work and then come to a group of finalists. And finalists could be one, it could be two, could be three. I never recommend more than three. And those names will go to the vestry. The vestry will then bring individuals here, finalists here, for a visit here on campus. Usually that visit takes about 2 days, give or take a little bit, and to allow people to meet, to allow people to come in. I tell clergy all the time that go in for a visit to our congregation is kind of like going to the clothing store. You want to try things on, so I want clergy to go stand behind the altar, stand up in the pulpit, sit in the office where the director will sit. All those types of things that just get a feel. Does it fit? Because this is really an art form, much more than science. And you're really not hiring, you're really trying to call a respected leader. And so it's a call, not a hire. The thing is that, most of us, a lot of us hire people in our lives, in our businesses and things like that. The thing about hiring people is inspiring. That's not the goal that we're going for. So we're truly going to call somebody who will be a respected leader in this place as you move forward together. I get asked all the time, how long will this take? Well, the bad answer to that question is it'll take as long as it takes. But my guess is that we could have somebody in place sometime by August. If we do everything carefully, but keep moving, keep the pace, if you will, and keep going, and Ken and Russ will keep you going. If he thinks you're moving slow, he'll come and say you're moving slow. He will also slow you down if he thinks you're going too fast and kind of skipping steps. But he's going to work with you and walk with you all the way through. Then, of course, you call somebody. Jason makes that call with senior warden. He informs Ken, Russ, and myself who you're going to call, but he makes that call. We put together then a letter of agreement and bring that person and get them moved. So I'm going to stop there with a kind of a fire hose approach to what a search looks like and see if you've got questions. Anybody? I don't know whether I've asked if you were back. Let me tell you, yes ma'am, go ahead. Yeah?
I would put it in the email and phone number so that we can, if we have a question or whatever, we can help you.
Let me say that for sure, I think it's a good idea for you to have an email and phone number for the search committee chair and for the senior warden. Whether or not the whole committee, I don't know, but certainly the chair and the search and the senior warden, you ought to have the ability to contact them quickly with questions, with any kind of comments or concerns. Let me also say, though, that I'm going to encourage, and Ken and Russ will encourage, that there be regular announcements, written and oral, announcements in the Sunday bulletin, any kind of newsletter on the website. I suggest a spot on the website where you click a button that simply says search and where you're going, and try to keep you as informed as possible each step of the way, and also then, of course, inviting comments and questions as you go. Okay?
Good night.
Yes. Yes, sir, go ahead.
My name is Jason, and the other Jason,
Yeah.
I'm the other Jason, that's the other that Jason.
Yeah. I was actually a little worried this morning in the parishes of people how many Jasons got prayed for.
Our email lists are in the bulletin, we're on the vestry, so if you want to, and please, don't hesitate to contact us if you have advice. Welcome some guidance and coaching advice, as far as I'm the chair of that search committee, and I have no idea what I'm doing. So please, don't hesitate to reach out.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Communication is key during this time. Any other questions? was going to say enjoy dessert. I'll try to find some chocolate. Enjoy. Remember to pray for your search committee and your vestry during this time. Prayer is just an essential part of this process. And then also remember that diocese convention coming up in just 2 weeks. You've got a team of people that will be there for that. It's a major event in the life of the diocese. I leave from here for the dean meeting in Brevard County. That's next on my agenda today. So, I'm going to pray for that as we go along. Yes, ma'am.
One question. Between now and the time that we call and we have visitors, right?
Yep.
Who provides the week-to-week preaching and...
You all will work to do that. Canon Rust has talked to at least 2 priests I know, and he will work with Jason to try to make sure our goal is to get a consistent voice in the pulpit behind the altar.
Like
rather than seeing, not necessarily a full-fledged interim, but somebody that can be a very consistent voice during this process. And Canon Rust is already working on that with Jason.
Thank you.
Okay? Jason, thank you very much.
So, on that note, supply priest essentially is the term. January we got covered, which is good. It is going to be 4 different priests, one of them Canadian. But thankfully, with some of the contacts that we have, I think we're going to get a little bit of consistency or rotate some of the ones that have already been here. I know Russell, Father Russell Wolver, who was here last week, really enjoyed his time. Hopefully we can get him back for another Sunday. Next Sunday is going to be Sonair. Xander, who's very familiar to us, he knows our church and our service. And then the final week is, why am I drawing a blank? Zachary Balaam, who actually has some familiarity with this church as well. So February and March more to come. My biggest prayer right now is finding somebody to make sure we have a priest for Easter. So if you're praying about anything, please pray for Easter so I can make sure that we can have full service and stuff for Easter. So that's all I have. Unless anybody has any questions, you can grab me offline. Enjoy your dessert. Go home. Enjoy your afternoon. Go 49ers.
Don't we have to close it? Don't we have to make a motion to close this?
Oh no, that was the agenda, right?
Oh, that's it. We don't have to do it.